All right, 19 till the hour here on the Imus Morning program. We just had a Cars for Kids commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we giving the cars to the kids? Who are the kids? That's the first thing.
Right.
Is there something the matter with them?
I don't know anything about it.
Hey, Bernie.
Yes, Chief.
Find somebody from the Cars for Kids organization who I can talk to.
Right away, boss.
Just book him as a guest.
Sure thing.
We're on it.
What's wrong with it? Why are we giving the kids all this stuff? Cars for Kids for what? Please welcome now to the program Peter Kiernan, who wrote Becoming America's Bitch and American Mojo. Good morning, Mr. Kiernan.
Good morning. How are you, Iman?
Why are we giving the money to the cars to the kids? Do you know?
I don't know, but the question you're asking is a good one because there are way too many dollars given to charities where people don't really know what's behind it. So it's a great question to be asking.
In addition to that, people, these charities, spend so much money on administrative costs, like Autism Speaks, but doesn't really do anything. I know all about it because it was involved in all that, but...
Look, that's a discipline that most people give with their heart, not with their head. It's a big mistake. We're a $300 billion a year charity giving nation, and most of that is given with very little scrutiny. Big mistake.
So, do you think Apple should help the government get the information on these various phones? Apparently, the FBI is asking them to break into 9 phones altogether.
Well, here's the dilemma here. 13 or 14 months ago, Apple would have done it because they had a key to the back door. So this religion that Apple's gotten is about a year old, maybe a year and a half old. And I think it's a very simple situation, made more complicated because Cook has opened up this massive Pandora's box that this is going to be the gateway for China and everyone else to get into your iPhone. I think this is one of those circumstances that can be handled quietly where somebody unlocks something, shows it to the FBI. It will not just be one. They should stop saying it will not just be one phone. It might be 101 phones. But Apple serves and grows at the benefit of the United States. It may be an international corporation, but it really benefits strongly from the protections that the United States offers. I think it's time for them to play ball.
So do you think they have any point? I mean, it doesn't sound like you do. But.
No, I think when you go down that slope where you say, gosh, everyone needs privacy and everyone needs protection, I have it almost impossible time arguing against that. But if you back it up from the hyperbolic, just back it up to the center of things, which is punch the problem in the nose, you have 8 or 10 people, 8 or 10 phones, which, by the way, they did not own. These were county phones. They were owned by, quote-unquote, the state. And the state simply saying, can we get into the phones we own to see what was going on? I don't see it as a great big, this particular situation is a great big rat's nest. I know a lot of people do because they want to take it all the way to the, privacy rights. And obviously our privacy rights are paramount. But I will say this, there are 4,400 words in our carefully written Constitution, and not a one of them is privacy.
And I'm wondering on a more practical level, people hack into stuff all the time. I mean, why couldn't they just go over to the mall and hand the phone to some 14-year-old kid who can plug it in their computer and they'd be, I'm not trying to be amusing or ironic, but I mean, you mean to tell me that we don't have anybody in our intelligence community who can break into a phone?
Well, part of the problem is it's age appropriate, right? I mean, there are a lot of people in gray hair and suits who are saying, can't we somehow unlock this? There was a key, quote unquote, literally called a key that Apple had for their prior devices. They don't have on this one. They may not have even developed it yet. But I promise you, somewhere in the country, somewhere in the world, there was a kid on a skateboard trying to figure out how to break into this.
Who are you supporting for president?
Well, I have to say that it'll be a difficult choice. I'm closer to Trump than anybody else. I was sort of hoping that Bloomberg would come in. He's got literally days left. I have a strategy for him that might work, but frankly, he's such a long shot now. But I think we're basically in a world of what's likely versus what is hoped for and possible with some of the other candidates. So it's going to be Trump versus Hillary, and I would vote for Trump.
Do you have any reluctance regarding Trump?
I do, and the reluctance is this. I believe that a presidency occurs not on the campaign trail, not on the hustings, not in campaign speeches, particularly in the primary. It occurs at 4 a.m. when the phone rings, and it's a foreign leader or some leader of your cabinet calling you as a president saying, we are in trouble. The American people are in trouble. I don't always know what Donald Trump is going to do in those moments. I think he's a pretty good leader. I think he's willing to surround himself with talented folks, but I don't always know because he's so bombastic sometimes for the showmanship. I don't really know where his soul is on some of the key issues, and I wish I had that better. As he shifts from a primary campaign to a General Electorate campaign, I would really like to see him show more, be more emotionally and intellectually available than he's been so far. Just so we could know what he's going to do at twists and turns that life is going to throw at the United States in the next 4 or 8 years.
This may be a simplistic observation, but you look at his kids, Don Jr., who I know a little bit, and Eric and Ivanka, and those are 3 smart people. And it's really amazing how they're able to articulate even better than use the language, even better than the lexicon, better than he does. But somehow they emerged as they are with the guidance of somebody, and it had to be him and it had to be the mom.
Well, I have 4 extraordinary kids, but I may be a case to the contrary of what you just argued, but they've managed to survive me. I do honestly think as a parent that judging someone by how their children, not how they behave, but how they are as human beings, is a completely worthwhile and legitimate yardstick to determine what kind of person this is, particularly someone like Donald, who's such a showman that, there's got to be, a family behind closed doors around the dinner table where knowledge and wisdom is being imparted. It's clear he and Ivanka did that.
Oh, so... And my friend Mike Lupica, he and I know him pretty well. We used to, years ago, back in the 80s, we used to have lunch with Trump once a week, go out to hang out with him and stuff. And he's I thought he's a smart, funny guy. But I think he knows how to campaign. That's not everything I love about him, but I do think he'll know how to be president. I think that 4 a.m. call, I think he'll know what to say, He's an extraordinary guy. I will say, isn't it topsy-turvy that suddenly we're talking about the establishment insurgency, that they're trying to figure out how to overthrow the Trump momentum with Rubio or somebody else? It's just everything's kind of gone on end. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, at least, of course, I know who you are and why I like you, and you were good again, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I was starting to feel like Bill Murray on Groundhog Day, but I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
Peter Kiernan here on the Imus Morning Program, 11 minutes out till the hour.
Imus in the morning.
Like the taste of fresh